Hello, Sandy here. I'm going to be making this lovely little voile Roman blind today, and I've got the piece of voile that I'm using. It's a very tiny little one. There's going to be about 4 of them, and they all are going into like a little conservatory. Each one is only 42 centimetres wide, so they are really diddy. So what I'm doing is I've laid my piece of fabric on the bench. I've turned in enough to sort of like make it look really neat on the other side. You're not going to line this, so you've got to make sure both sides are looking lovely. This side I've actually hand sewn it, so you can see my hand stitches all along there, and then you can't really see a lot going on this side, which is what I wanted. I did 1 row of stitching with the machine taking me to there, and then I folded this over and slip stitched it so that you didn't have any stitch lines this side. See, I've kept this side piece open for the bottom bar, and then I've sewn this piece here. Well, I will sew it. No, I have sewn it. Have I sewn it? Am I losing my mind, guys? Yeah, I haven't sewn it yet. So one of them will be sewn, put the bottom bar in, and then I'll sew that up. So it's all ready to go now. So basically all we've got to do with this, and this applies if you're doing any piece of fabric that isn't lined, because it will make its own rod pockets on the back, which I'm now going to do. Now I'm going to use the theory that we did the other day on our last week's blind, where we did our waterfall pleats, and I will work this out, show you how I've worked it out so that you can sort of see the theory again, and then we'll start making it up. One of my workings out, I've got 9 half pleats, and I've got 162 drop. I've got 6 centimetres for my head rail allowance, so I take 6 centimetres off my 162, and I'm left with 156. I have to count up my increments, so we've got 1 0 2 0 3 2 4 2 5 4 6 4 7 6 8 6 9 8. My increments are obviously 2 4 6 8 and so on, so I now have to add all my increments up. So of course we've got 4 there, then we've got 8, and then we've got 12, and then we've got 8 at the very bottom. We've got 32 centimetres. So right, so we've got 32 centimetres, which have to be deducted from this 156, which is this figure minus the head rail, which gives us that. We take off our 32, so it's 156 minus 32, and that gives us 124, and that is the number we have to divide by 9. So 124 divided by 9, and that will give us our half pleats, which is 13.7, 8 and 7. It's going to be 2 of those, so that's 13.7 times 2 is 27.4, and then the next one is 27.4, and then so is the next one, and the last one is going to be 27.4 plus 6, because that's the head rail. So we've got 39.4. Now we're going to add on our increments. So the first one will just stay at 39.4 because there's nothing to add on. So the next one we have to add on 4. So 27.4 plus 4 will give us 31.4. And then the next one will be 27.4 plus 8, because we're doing 2 lots of 4. So that'll be 35.4. And then the next one is going to be 27.4 plus 12, because that's obviously, yes, 2 6s, and that's 39.4. And then the last one we'll add on 8 to 13.7. That's 13.7 plus 8, and that will give us 21.7. So 21.7. So these are all our pleat sizes now, and that one obviously includes the top, the 6 centimeters head rail. Basically, I am making sure the actual fabric is facing upwards, Usually it's facing downwards, but obviously it's different when you're doing it like this because you want your rod pockets to be on the back of the fabric, not on the front. So I've turned it around and I'm just going to lay it flat here. And I've measured from the bottom to where my little invisible marks are that you can see here, the invisible pen. And I'm going to go up to those, but I'm going to go a little bit further towards the top, away from me. You have to bring your little pockets higher than the actual marks because you need all of this for your pleat. You don't want to compromise any of the amount from the bottom to your little mark. So bring your pleat mark just about 1 centimetre from where you're going to start pinning, because that's where you're going to do your rod pocket. Exactly the same as when we're doing a regular lining, but you're just doing it the other way because obviously, you know, this one is a self-lined blind. I'm just going to put a very slight mark across. Now this is quite a tricky old voile, I'm not going to lie. It does move quite, you know. Let me just put a little mark there so I can see that one, because it seems to be, doesn't seem to be showing this side and I need it to. Right, that's better. Right, so I now can see what I'm doing. And I'm only going to put a weeny, I'm only going to come down a weeny little bit here because the little rods are very small. And make sure it's the same all the way along. And it is a bit tricky because it's voile, but it will look really nice. That needs to come up a bit there. And those need to come up. And that one definitely does. Just make sure it's really straight. Yeah, okay. So I'm now going to just put a few more marks in. I'm not going to go all across because I don't need to. And I'm just going to put plenty of pins in so that it doesn't move. So when it's up, it will look like that. Obviously you won't see any of the little marks, but it will look like that, and it is very attractive. But when you're doing lines or patterns and things on the blind, you've got to try and make sure that you're kind of matching it all up. So like, for instance, my lines are all matching up so that, you know, they're going horizontally up and they're not out in any way. That's quite important, because when the customer pulls the blind down, you don't want, or when you pull the blind down, if it's for yourself, you don't want to be seeing your lines all out of proportion, you know, looking a bit silly. Right, I'm just going round to flatten out the blind from this end. And now I'm going to bring it forward and do the next one. Right, the next one is going to be bigger. When you're doing waterfall, be mindful that your pleats always seem bigger at the bottom than they do at the top. And that there's a reason for that. It's because of the waterfall effect and the way it's all worked out. Right, so the second one is going to be 39.4. Now, we're not going from the bottom of the blind as we normally would with lining. We're going from the pins. So from the pins, we have to have, that has to be 39, and this isn't enough. So I've got to pull that down and then move this up. But keep it nice and flat. Now, if you want to iron it as you go, that's fine. But I wouldn't bother. Right, the second one is 39.4. Get the tape measure right to where the pin is and put your 39.4 in. And then go to, I'm going to go to the next pin and do it there so that it's really accurate. Then I'm going to go to the middle pin, or more or less the middle pin, 39.4. I'm just going to move you along so I can get to this end one, and then 39.4. By the way, I hope you're all doing well and keeping well and happy, and, you know, sort of enjoying the weather when it decides to, the sun comes out, but not very often, is it? It's a bit of a hit and miss at the minute. But I can't believe they said that May was the hottest one sort of month we've had for, well, you know, that they've ever witnessed. And I'm thinking, well, actually, I didn't really find that May was particularly hot. I thought there was a lot of rain, but I never noticed that it was particularly hot. So I don't know where they're getting that from. But anyway, but you know, as long as we've got something really nice to do like this, you know, this gives me so much pleasure doing stuff like this, especially if I'm working for someone and I'm doing a favour for someone. I do love that. I want it to look really good on the other side, so putting my pins in very, very carefully. And I still haven't forgotten about the getting together and doing a workshop together. I'm just trying to work out how best it will be, you know, how best to work it. So I haven't forgotten. So those people who have mentioned it to me, I do appreciate, you know, that you really want to do it, and I really do as well. It's just been life's been a bit busy at the minute. So anyway, that's the second one done. This is such beautiful voile. If anyone wants any of this, it's not that expensive, and if you join my Patreon, which I'm going to be setting up very soon, you'll be able to get this at trade, obviously plus VAT, but I'll let my Patreon customers have it at trade, because that's how I roll. And that's what I want to do. So I want to make things easy for you guys. I do work hard, so having a little bit of money for my Patreon will help me to produce my videos. So if you're interested in Patreon, please let me know in the comments, because that would really be good if I could get this sorted. Right, so now I'm going to go on to the third one. So I'm just going to carry on doing this. Of course, the next one is going to be measuring from my pins again. So, and the next one is 35.4, and they get smaller and smaller as they go up. And then I shall obviously sew these all together on the machine. And it's just the same thing, really. It'll be a case of putting the little rod pockets through, the little, you know, fiberglass rods, and then putting the little rings on and closing the little pockets once the rods are in, and putting it on a track, the same as you usually do with normal blinds. And they really do look stunning done in voile. You know, if you're really careful and you do it really nicely and carefully, you can end up with some really beautiful blinds that you could put in your conservatory, or, you know, just have them anywhere in the house, really. I mean, they just look lovely up at the window. You know, you could just have them down for privacy and then just put them up if you want a bit more light, or, yeah, I mean, they are really lovely. Anyway, I'll carry on, and then when I get to the stage where I'm sewing them on the machine, I will come back to you. Okay, so I'm going to start sewing along here. Now I'm going to take my pins out as I go. Forward a bit, and then back a bit. Take my pin out. As I go, I'm going to take my pins out, and I'm going to actually sew along this little seam here. I'm taking this quite slowly because it's voile. And so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. My needle doesn't like this stuff. Maybe I need to change the needle for something sharper. That looks lovely. Caught a little bit, but it's because it's voile, you know. Just might have to like gradually like pull it through a little bit if it catches, but I think I probably need to change my needle. But it looks okay, it's gone in nice. Okay, let's take that last one out. Make sure that when you get to the end, you're nice and sort of like butted up, and you're not sort of going over, you know, you're right, your ends are meeting nicely. And just keep everything nice and flat here, because obviously this is where you've turned your, and then when you get to the end, go back a little bit, just a weeny bit, and then cut. And that is your seam. It's quite nice and neat. And then obviously your little rod will go through here, and then you'll have to sew these up once you've got your rods in. But that is looking really nice. And now I'll just trim my little threads and go on to the next one. I've done all the channels, and I've started to put the Velcro on, taken the pins out, and I'm now going to cut the Velcro, I'm now going to cut the fabric right under the Velcro. So I'm just going to cut it under here, not too close to here, but just so that you don't see it on this side. And then I'm going to do the second row of stitching down here. So I shall just do that now. Right, so I've done the Velcro on the top, which looks really nice, and I'm now going to put my rod pockets in, but I've got these fiberglass rods which need cutting down, so they'll go. I always cut them so that they're a little bit smaller than the width, so I'll cut them to about there. So I've got 5 to do, so I'll just do that and show you what they look like when they're done. So I'm just going to thread this through. I'm just going to show you how I do one, bearing in mind I've not got my glasses on and I've got you in front of me. I twist it a little bit. Sometimes that helps for it to go in, but because I'm doing voile, it is quite tricky, because when you get to these bits, you just got to be a bit careful that it doesn't catch, and then it just goes in nice and smoothly, which on this occasion it's not too bad. When you get to the end bit here, cut your little trimming things away, and then sew up the sides. One more to do. Okay, so now I'm going to put in the bottom bar. So we've got this, which I have to cut down. Obviously it's going to be too wide, but I'm going to put it in first, and it's going into here. So open the little bottom piece and slide it in gently so you don't catch any of the bits. And then I'm going to manipulate it so that it's tucked in there. So you don't really have to close that one, but I will close it. But it's tucked in so that it won't come out the other end. And then I will cut it here. I'll mark it just inside a little bit and then cut it, and then I will close this end as well. So that's what that bottom bit will look like. Okay, so now it's time to put our rings on. So with this tiny little blind, we're only going to put one on each side. I'm going to bring it in a little bit less than I usually do. So I'm going to do about 8 centimetres in from the end. And then all the way down, all the little rod pockets are in. They're all sewn, the bottom bar's in, and it's hanging really pretty. Doesn't it look lovely, guys? I love this. I'm really tempted to do some for my bedroom now, because I just think they look really pretty. So I'm going to now sew the rings on. I'll show you how to do one. Okay, so I'm going to move this up a little bit so you can see it. And I'm going to put this first one in, and I'm going to do it here. I'm just going to, I'm going to double up the cotton. I'm just going to like secure that first, and then cut my tails away. It's a bit fiddly, this job. Go into the ring, bring the ring down, go in about 3 or 4 times, and then take your ring up, go round the ring, like wrap your cotton around it about 3 or 4 times, take the ring back to where it was, and then go in the final 3 times. That is not going anywhere. Very secure. So we've now got to do the rest of them, so I shall get on and do that. So let's bring it towards me, and I'm going to start rolling it up. And then you can sort of have it half down if you want. You know, if you just want it down a little bit, you could just do that, which looks really lovely. It's so relaxed looking, isn't it? I love that. I think that would look beautiful in a very minimalist room with black furniture and all this lovely stuff that's going on. Oh gosh, I'm loving what people are doing on YouTube. Anyway, thank you for joining me today, guys. It's been lovely having you. I've really enjoyed doing this one, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget to subscribe and share and like. It all helps my channel. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.